Okay, sometimes we find ourselves in a situation where there's information on a company record right here that we need to access when we're viewing a deal that's moving its way through the pipeline. A good example of this would be Account ID. Account ID is information that should originate on the company record, but I need to know it. Now, certainly we could use one of these default pieces of property that are visible, pieces of information that are visible on the associated company card here. But to be honest, account ID is not all that important to most of the users who are jumping in here on our side. So rather than taking up that valuable real estate, what we would typically do is create a sync property. A sync property being a deal version of the account ID property, and then a workflow that would simply say, if account ID is unknown on a deal, and it's associated to a company that account ID is known, then copy that property over. And that would work just fine. However, you can find yourself in a situation where reps think that they can update the account ID on the deal and it's going to sync back to the company. And maybe if that company is associated to multiple deals, the expectation is it's then updating on all of the other deals. We can certainly build workflows to account for a lot of these scenarios, but it can get messy quick. And without a HubSpot admin or an agency involved who fully understands how that data is flowing in each direction, it's hard to maintain over the long run. HubSpot has solved for this by adding in a new property type called Property Sync. Property Sync does exactly what I described, where it's pulling a company piece of information directly onto the deal and limits your ability to edit it. I've actually got the one I just created opened here. So I've got this open here where we're looking at all the information set. It's a description, it's in the right category, but the field type selected, just like a single line text or a radio select or a drop down select, we have the option to select a property sync. And when you do that, it's going to prompt you to say, well, great, which object are we syncing from? And it could be contacts, companies, deals, tickets, standard objects, or custom objects, or even activities. You can pull information from recent phone calls or meetings. So I've got company selected, and once the company object is selected, it then prompts you and says, great, which property from that object would you like to use? Now, because a deal can be associated to multiple companies, we then have to filter down and say, which one do we prioritize, either by association label or the most recently created or the originally created object. So I've got this set up as the most recently created company record, and then saving that down, we actually can see that here visible on this deal. So pulling information from the company record, limiting my ability to edit it here, thinking that it's editing back on the original. And that's the purpose of the name, Hub ID from company. That could even be more clear if needed. But just wanted to point out that this was available. If this is appropriate to your portal, let us know. We'd be happy to implement this for you to pull some data from associated objects. Or if we've built workflows to sync data to our old version of a sync property, let us know. Happy to fix that old system and set up something that's more sustainable going forward. Thanks very much.